little blue pot, it's Jem here. Thank you for joining me. It is day 18 of the 31 days of BPD, and this is filters part 2. So in yesterday's video I defined what a filter was and how people with BPD, we put on these goggles and these filters that we have create distorted images of the world around us, making us view things in a different way, and then maybe triggering us to have a reaction such as going towards self-harm or impulsive behaviours. But what are the filters? So this is something I learned in steps. I'll be talking about that in a later video, and these I will do my best to help you understand them. So there are 10 filters that you will now be learning about. So I will start. Number 1, self-sacrifice. So we may have the self-sacrifice filters on, and this means others are more important than me and must be put first. So perhaps if you've had some behaviour in your life where you have thought that other people are better than you, that you're not as good, that you're secondary to them, and you should put them first. A lot of people with BPD have this, and when they have the filter of self-sacrifice on, they will then say that person's more important and I'm not going to be putting myself first at all, which then obviously has a detrimental effect on the person, because then they will feel like they're worthless and maybe reaffirm other negative thoughts that they have about themselves, that others are more important. So that's one. Entitlement. I can have what I want. So you may have the filter of entitlement on and saying, do you know what, today I don't care, I'm going to spend, I'm going to buy those things that I want, I'm going to, do you know what, I deserve that spliff, I deserve to have some Coke tonight, you know, this kind of I can have whatever I want sort of attitude. I don't know why I did that. So you may feel that you deserve something. So it might be that because of your BPD and you feel like your life's been rubbish and full of pain and full of awfulness and full of stress and distress, that you'd be like, do you know what, I've had enough of this, I can do what I want now, I'm entitled to do this. And then your behaviour will be to that effect, and then this could have a negative effect on the people around you, because they'll be kind of like, you're being a bit too about you, and you know, maybe you should try not to go to those negative places when you're feeling entitlement. So that's number 2. Number 3, subjugation. I'll always do it your way. This was quite a common one for me. That in my life, been with many people that intense unstable relationships where people have made me feel beneath them, made me feel less of a person, and made me just go, right, okay, so I always have to do it your way. So when you have the filter of subjugation, which basically means you're being put beneath someone, you're being pushed down by someone, means that you'll have that filter on, and you might even have a bit of resentment there. I always have to do it your way, I'm beneath you, always have to do it. So if you're in a work environment, for example, and you've got this filter of subjugation on, you may be thinking, well, you want me to do it this way, so I have to do it this way because you always get it right. And of course that's not the behaviour to have in an office, we're not children in the playground, but sometimes BPD can make you feel a bit like a child, in the sense that you can't regulate your emotions, and yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. So subjugation is another way that we view the world. Unrelenting standards. So this means nothing I do is ever good enough. This is a huge one for me. And I can view the world through this filter pretty much most of the time. Because there's part of me that has a huge element of being a perfectionist, and when things aren't perfect, to me they're not good enough and they have to be redone, like some of these videos that I've had to redo over and over again because my filter is saying that it's not good enough. And of course probably they are, but because of my perfectionism and me having that filter, nothing I do is ever good enough. And if you view your life like that all the time, that's a really, really horrible place to be. Defectiveness or social undesirability. So you're worrying about being defective, you're worrying about not fitting with the norm, you're worrying about being socially undesirable, so people not liking you. And this sums up as I'm worthless, I don't fit in. And I remember when I used to, when I was in my 20s, a bit younger, you know, going out to bars and things like that. And, you know, if someone looked at me funny, I'd be like, is it because of what I'm wearing? Oh, I don't fit in, I don't belong. And I would have that most of my life, feeling like I didn't really fit in. And that I was socially undesirable, that, you know, people didn't want to be with me, people didn't want to hang out with me. And can I just say that all these filters, this is coming from the BPD brain. This is not, you know, this is developed patterns of behaviour because of things that have happened in your past. It doesn't necessarily mean that the stuff happening in your life now deserves these filters, but it's something that you've been doing all your life, so you're looking through these filters all the time, not knowing you are, but now you probably, maybe you can start seeing that you are. So that's 5 so far. Failure to achieve. Well, this is the, I feel like such failure. I think I've talked about this one, but yeah, when I moved in with my mum and my boyfriend and I moved in with my mum, sorry, when I had to leave my job because I couldn't work anymore. And yeah, since then I felt like such a failure. When I moved in, I felt like such a failure all the time, and it's a really, really horrible place to be, because you just feel like nothing is worth doing at all, and that you'll always be like this and you'll always be a failure. It's not true, but this is how you feel. Vulnerability to harm and illness. So you might be worrying about something's going to happen. You might be worrying about getting sick all the time, or you might be worrying about harm from other people. You might be constantly thinking basically a catastrophe is about to strike. And yeah, so you're constantly, with this filter, you're on the verge of something's going to happen. If you know, someone's going to die, something's going to go wrong, something's really, you know, and you're living in this state of vulnerability, not really sure when the next, you know, negative, horrible thing is going to come in and take control. So that real catastrophizing, thinking that something really bad is about to happen. Again, it's like living on that knife edge again. Emotional deprivation. A lot of people with BPD have this feeling of abandonment, that they're going to be left and that they'll never get the love they need. So emotional deprivation means that they are feeling deprived of the love that they deserve. This may be because when they were a child, or they may have been abused by a caregiver or a parent, and they feel that they didn't get the love because their parents were maybe abusive. So this is carried on into later life, so you feel that everyone is going to be like that with you. So if you have this filter, you will always feel that no one is ever going to love you or give you the love you need. That kind of goes on to the next one, abandonment, which is that fear of someone leaving you. So if you have this filter of abandonment on, your behaviour may change. You may be very needy with that person. You may be very controlling with that person. You may be so freaked out that they're so scared that they're going to leave you that you may even self-harm, or you may use drugs or alcohol to cope with this feeling. Finally, number 10 is mistrust. And if you have a filter of mistrust, it basically means that everyone that you're talking to, you do not trust. It might be that you're having some sort of paranoia. Maybe you're going through, something's triggered some paranoia, or it reminds you of, again, your early upbringing or some time in your life when people let you down, people that lied to you, maybe people that abused you or hurt you in any way that made you not trust them. I mean, I went out with a pathological liar, Ricky, and after him I found it very, very hard to trust people. I still do to some extent, especially if they are confrontational with me or aggressive with me. I will take me a while to kind of come back to normal with them. But again, this filter really, really will make you not trust people. And it's not that you're going, I don't trust you, it's this filter that's gone over these glasses, over these goggles, to make you see the world through this way. And what happens now, these are all the filters, so what happens now is what you can do is try and think, when you're in a situation, maybe what filters you are using. I will list all of the filters in the description below, so you can copy them yourself, so you don't have to rewind. But those 10 filters, if you have BPD, you will probably switch from one to the other. You might even have one on one and one on the other. It's something that really, really can be very debilitating, and then make you perhaps behave differently, make your emotions go from like level 1 to 5, or it can make you reach for impulsive, reckless behaviours. So I've done filters 1 and part 2. I hope that you can write down some of your filters and maybe start to apply those to your life, and you know, see where you are, which filters you're using. Do you use some more than others? My top one is self-sacrifice, then entitlement, then subjugation. My bottom ones are mistrust and abandonment. So I'd say maybe 10 years ago, the abandonment and mistrust were probably at the top, and other things down the bottom. So it really depends on where you are on your journey. But yeah, self-sacrifice was my top one. I would say now I'm viewing things a lot less through filters, but when my emotions are at a higher level, when this pot maybe past level 1 or 2, my filters probably start to kick in, and then they trigger response as well. So I hope that's been useful. I hope that has made sense. Please talk about it in the comments below. What are your filters? What do you do? How do you cope with your filters? Which one is your top filter? Which one is your bottom filter? Thanks for watching. This has been, which day is it? It's been a day on the 31 days of BPD. I hope you can join me for tomorrow. Take care, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.